Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Curse 20. My name is Codey. This is David. This is Zack. Today, we're getting ready to discuss with each other and with you guys about our top 3 games that we think we can turn into D&D campaigns. Now, we all came up with a different list. So let's start with we'll go Zack's third, your third, my third, and then we'll go like that. Zack, go ahead and take us on.
So, for my third pick, I picked Halo.
Halo.
Now, I know D&D, it can get a little fuzzy, introducing guns and all that. But what I think really lends to Halo for a good, long-term D&D campaign is, you have so many different factions, and it's a very big political mind piece, right? With the Covenant and everything, and then human races, and then you also have the introduction of the Flood, which is that curveball to both sides.
Yeah. Interesting. So would you run it sci-fi or would you reskin it fantasy? High fantasy?
I think you run it sci-fi, and, there's lots of homebrew out there where you can make this work.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think even just with a lot of rules as written stuff, they've got some guns. I like that idea too. You could shift it a little bit from space exploration to plane exploration, something like that.
If you wanted to, yeah.
But
I mean,
I like the multiple factions, having the Flood and multiple bad guys that you're going up against.
Right, because the Flood is the undead taking over the world that neither side expected when there was this intergalactic war between the humans and the Covenant.
And then at the same time, you've got characters like the Arbiter who actually kind of flipped and started fighting for humans and all that. So even if you had a character who wanted to play an alien race, it does story-wise make sense.
So
there
many
was
existing races that you can just reskin.
Yeah. And so I know we said D&D campaign, but if you were just play any tabletop RPG, you have Starfinder, which already has a bunch of set rules for how to play in space. You do have the
Star Wars
5e, which has a lot of good space rules. They're not as quite as fleshed out as Starfinder is, but I mean, there's several well-known actual plays that have used those rules for space campaigns, and there's some of my favorite.
Real easy.
Yeah. I think that's a great choice. Dave, what's your third?
Yeah, so I thought the game Infamous. I don't know if anybody out there remembers that game.
That is the first video game.
Showing my age a little bit.
No, that is the first video game that I was ever able to buy for myself and play on my own PlayStation.
I love the whole thing about it was an explosion in an urban area, and that is what created magical beings. And again, you could kind of do it in a fantasy setting where maybe it's a low magic fantasy setting, and all of a sudden the magic just happens. Or you could do kind of an urban.
All of a sudden could do spells, and it might manifest as a wizard, or it might manifest more like a
sorcerer. You could fully do it. You could make all the magic make sense in that. You can have people who are not magic at all, and those are your fighters, your humans. You got your variant humans, that's where the magic comes from. You've got the ability to make any of the other races work by just using that magical explosion. It's got a hook tied into it. You don't know what caused the magical explosion, and so somebody in the party is probably going to have an inkling of hey, we got to figure out what happened here. Or you can tie in all the political figures of the area, and it's such a good story. And even though it's a single player game, I think you can make a multiplayer campaign so easy out of it.
Yeah, it's just how a bunch of people got infected. You could, instead of just the one guy in the main campaign or in the main game or whatever you just say, infected X amount of the city, and your characters are one of the infected. Or one of the
and I mean there's bad guy factions, so they've shown in that game that there are hundreds of people that are infected with it. It's so easy, and it'd be so fun. I like the electrical powers, sliding on the rails and shit. Was so cool.
Yeah, you could definitely also just homebrew a couple extra things, because you're one of these guys, you can do this. You're able to I don't know.
Yeah, it's a really good skin, and I like the story of a basic. It's almost like there's a localized thing. This didn't happen all over the world. The whole campaign would happen in a city, but it would be a big city. It'd be like a Waterdeep or something where you'd flesh it out fully, or a Baldur's Gate or something like that, and you could have a full campaign in a city. And I've never had a chance to do a full campaign like that. Strahd's very close, where we're just bouncing between like 2 or 3 cities, but being stuck in one giant city and then really diving deep into the different factions and areas of it would be super fun.
That's super cool. I actually really like that. That's awesome. For my number 3, I have, it's kind of a cop out. It's the God of War world setting. It's not any one of the specific games from God of War.
Yeah.
Just because like the first 3 are so different from the last 2 based on the styles and games. But just having a bunch of high-powered people who are pissed off at the gods and want to overthrow the gods lends for like a chaotic, crazy campaign. I think like you could be like, I know in God of War it's like Kratos and he is a son of a god and he hates them and he's gonna kill them all basically for messing with them. But you could just rescan a little bit like it's a group of guys who hate the gods because they think they did something bad and they're here to overthrow them and basically let the world be free.
That's definitely a level 20 campaign, right? Like,
yeah, you start off level 15.
That's a full high level,
yeah.
but that would be so cool.
Yeah,
that'd be
like,
so cool.
Yeah, you just reskin some of the gods to meet some of the D&D gods.
The other aspect of it is like, yeah, you already are so strong and powerful, but everything in this world is so much bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, in most campaigns, I'm the scary thing, and in this world, I'm the PvP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of a cop out because it's such a big like franchise, but I just think the premise of like overthrowing the gods.
Dude, my first D&D campaign ever, we were evil and we worked for Hades to overthrow Zeus. And the final battle was a 4-person party, level 20, fighting Zeus. And it was so ridiculous. We couldn't do it on our own. We literally had to summon Hades to the fight to fight like on our behalf to even make it fair. Obviously, we end up winning and all that, but like it was the most epic thing of all time. Gods are fighting and we're fighting too. Like you can't get better than that, dude.
Yeah, and then it shows you the difference of being like a level 20 hero, and then there's still that gap between the gods of D&D and like how powerful they actually are. Zach, what's your second?
So my second choice was The Last of Us. I think this lends to like a very survival-based kind of campaign. A lot of RP, dealing with other strangers out in the world, in this dying world where you can't trust anyone, but also how do you survive in this world?
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think it sounds really cool.
So everybody that I've talked to that plays ttrpgs, or like everybody has always said like, I want to do a gritty, hard survival where you have to like at least one time where you have to track your rations and you have to like, keep track of your, like where all that stuff matters. Almost everybody I know has said they want to at least play a one shot like that where you have to keep track of everything. That lends to that world really well. We're like, you shoot an arrow, you're out of arrow.
The right world to have that kind of game.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those worlds where it actually can work.
That would be that'd be a really good world to use. D&D Shorts has like a whole crafting mechanic that he released, and that would be the perfect kind of campaign to introduce really in-depth crafting mechanics and like just making your own spells and potions. I mean, that would be a really fun one to be like an artificer in. Like I don't really have a drive to be an artificer, and it would be a little weird to be an artificer in like a naturey kind of survival setting, but you almost need that tinkerer to make use of every item you have. MacGyver, like make a telephone out of 2 coconuts sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Wow. And I mean, you're just fighting a bunch of like undead and devil type creatures. I mean, you could run The Last of Us in the setting of Barovia. It's already just a bunch of undead and devils,
and there's the safe spaces.
Yeah, there's a couple little safe spaces, and you're condensed, and everybody's already like looking for rush and stuff. That's cool. That's a great idea. What do you have for your number 2?
My number 2 is kind of a classic. It's basically the whole reason I got into D&D. When somebody explained what D&D was, in my head I went, oh, that's just Skyrim, but not on a video game. So like I would pick Skyrim. Like you've got the dragons, you've got magic, you've got archers, you've got fighters, you've got everything that makes a D&D game a D&D game, and you just build a whole party out of it. You've got all the multiple factions. You can be for the Empire or for the Norse. You can be for the Thieves Guild or the Murderers Guild or whatever it's called. So there's like so many different things that you can join, be a part of. It's a very Storm King's Thunder kind of feeling world, but just with a little bit of a twist, maybe a little more darker, maybe not quite as free flowing. And you're changing the setting instead of going from the Sword Coast. You know, you'd be using the more Norse kind of setting.
Yeah. Wow, Skyrim. It's so funny you say that when somebody like described D&D to you. I thought, oh, that's World of Warcraft. I thought this. I was like, oh, because I played a little bit of War.
It's pretty good honorable mention.
That is a pretty good honorable mention. Wow, yeah, dude, Skyrim would be so much fun. So you just be like, God, that does lend to a lot of like. You already have most of the spells. You have spell scrolls established. You have most of the same type
Your
of weapons established.
enchantments and stuff. If you want to be like the person building your armor, you can be the artificer.
Yeah.
You can be the rogue. You can be
There's
the
already so many races.
Yeah, I mean, like you already have all the races, and you can just reskin a couple of them that fit how you want to fit.
Like, and it's probably the most boring of all the answers we're going to give today because you don't really change a lot to make it into a D&D campaign. It just kind of is already a D&D campaign.
No,
but that people would make it easy, you know.
Yeah.
That people would make it fun.
Yeah. Mine is my second is like Elden Ring Dark Soul. I mean, it'd be it'd be a more grittier vibe, but you know, it already lends like you're this hero, you're on this quest, you're trying to find oh man, I'm blanking. You're trying to find the grace or whatever you need to become like the next step up, and you can just do it as a group, or you could do it single player. It has all these like monsters you could just reskin with D&D stat blocks. You could just I think the hardest part would be trying to figure out how to build in other races into it.
And isn't the story of the Dark Souls Elden Ring very historic? Like it's calling back to a lot of history.
Like a deep world where you're like trying to uncover all these secrets, and then it would like, what is that one? Who are those people who created that one where you can only long rest in certain spots?
Oh, the Drakenheim?
Yeah, that's basically Dark Souls. You would only be able to rest at your campfires and get your like and you'd have to play really hard. You'd have to almost make all the monsters unbeatable. So you have to put like whatever you have to put. Almost every encounter would have to be a deadly encounter when you build out your counter, and it's that just to like, give it that feel. But it's just such a big, open, and like deep lore world. I think that you could build a big campaign of.
What's also pretty cool about that, like your party can also just be a bunch of people who are nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're basically on the verge of undeath and like becoming heroes of this land.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty heroic story.
Yeah, and then that's like another mechanic that you could add into the game is add something that you constantly are trying to push off undeath taking over you. Like you constantly have to do things and like keep building up I'm so blanking on like all the terms of the game, but keep building up whatever like mana or grace to keep it off or whatever. It adds personal stake with like overarching story plots.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Zach, what's your number one?
Grand Theft Auto. And
great.
At first when I thought about it, I was like, oh, that's like, yeah, you're playing a bunch of criminals in a city. But then I was thinking about it, like Grand Theft Auto already has like the biggest role-playing communities already. Like, so to make some sort of RP-based campaign where like maybe you're crims, maybe you're some cops, maybe you're a mixture of both, and like you have some sort of end goal that you're working towards in this city.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about that. It'd be about another big urban landscape one, kind of like your infamous choice. You'd be playing in a huge city. Would you play it modern,
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to reskin it with like you're stealing a bunch of carriages and like high running horses down the street?
That was my question too. Yeah,
I,
full
I,
cars.
I like the idea of like modern
modern,
and everything, and like
yeah.
maybe it's a non-magical world.
Yeah.
Just very deep in the RP.
Yeah. If you did not magic, you just reskin a lot of the spell. You have to be really limited with the spells you allowed, but you can reskin them as just like cool abilities your character
Yeah,
can do.
I'm
You know.
so good that
Yeah, I can just
It
do
might
that.
tend really well to like the kids on bikes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, honestly, yeah, or like the Never Stop Blowing Up system they
Yeah.
used for in Dimension 20. Yeah, that'd actually be really cool. Actually, yeah, if I was to play in that, I would want to play it like kids on bike.
yeah.
Yeah. What's your number one, dude?
My number one is kind of a childhood classic. I think it'd be really fun to play Pokemon as a D&D campaign.
Pokemon.
Yeah, where like you're out battling monsters and maybe somebody in the party is an artificer who makes these little contraptions, or there's just somebody in town who makes them and you guys buy them and they can capture monsters if you weaken them enough. And then you can make some other mechanic where you have to work with and train these monsters so that they begin to work for you and help you. I think it would definitely be another one where you're kind of committed to playing a class, or at least one person in the party would have to be committed to playing like a ranger or something like that to make use of it. But I still feel like you could have the room in a campaign for that, for the fighter, for the wizard, for the sorcerer, for all of that, because you're going to need people to go attack the monsters to weaken it down, and then you'll be able to catch it and grow your monsters, and then you're working as a team to then go fight the big bad guys. You know, in Pokemon, there's the overarching thing of the gym leaders. So you've got something that's moving you from place to place, advancing a storyline. They've got the whole thing where one of those gym leaders is leading a global conspiracy to steal people or steal animals and do all this bad stuff. So you've got your overarching thing as well as your city to city movement. And yeah, it's another one of those ones that really kind of does a lot of the base writing for you and then lets you fill in some gaps.
Wow. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that sounds awesome. It'd be really fun. And then you just like build up a bunch of like quote unquote Pokemon or monsters, and you just go battle other people's monsters. And
yeah, like maybe you get like 3 that you can use instead of 6 or something like that. Like you get a land one, a sea one, and an air one. You know, kind of like the Druid wild shapes, but maybe it's more of a ranger summon than a Druid wild shape.
Yeah.
Or you know, something like that.
Yeah.
You definitely would have to work on the mechanics a little bit, but yeah, I think it'd be just a really interesting thing to have one guy trying to catch monsters, the rest of the team helping him to try and weaken those monsters, and then knowing that in doing so, you're making the whole party stronger because now you've got a much stronger monster on your team.
That's pretty cool. Find a mechanic to like level up your monsters and stuff.
Yeah, and like, you know, obviously you'd probably have to make it so that the monster that you catch is at like 80% strength of the monster in the wild, just so things don't get crazy and you still have challenges.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's cool. My number one is Legend of Zelda. Specifically, Breath of the Wild. Okay? To be fair, haven't played Tears of the Kingdom. That one might be better. But Breath of the Wild, I think, is an awesome campaign. So you just take your party. I know it's a single, like you're a single guy, but you could do it with a party. You just do it. You just have multiple, however many people you have playing. You all wake up and you're heroes from 100 years ago. And you wake up to your land. For 100 years, the main castle has been taken over by a demon king, and is like slowly starting to oppress and corrupt the land around him. And like the world is running out of time to like figure out a way to beat him. And finally, something wakes you up, and you realize that you have to go save your long lost princess, who's like an immortal elf who's been trying to like stop this. Who's been locked in like forever battle with this demon king, but she's like losing. So you and your party, you just go around as you like collect enough clues, and then it leads to like there's all the temples that you go to where you like you go to enough temples and you get these and you do little challenges in these temples, so that each temple then just gives you like a way to build like a little mini dungeon or like a little mini challenge for your players to overcome. And you get like a spirit orb, and you get enough spirit orbs, and you can get bigger life, or you can get more stamina. So that's just a way to like you collect enough spirit orbs, you get to level up. And then finally, when you level up enough, you're strong enough to go take on this Demon King. And then there's these like 4 elder beasts. And if you get them on your side, they help you fight the Demon King. So it's like there's like 3 steps. You have to go through there's 4 steps. You have to explore the land, talk to people, make allies, and then you have to beat all the low-level monsters throughout the land, all the little gobligans or whatever they're called. And then there's like bigger monsters. You have like they're like these ancient, semi-sentient, like mechanical beasts you have to fight. And then there's all these like there's levels to these monsters, and the further you go in the world, the more of these monsters and the bigger they get. Then you have to go through all these little mini dungeons and complete all these tasks if you want to level up and get more XP and level up. And then you have to get these divine beasts to help you. And then finally you're able to storm the castle and help the princess defeat the Demon King.
It lends perfectly to like the chapters setup.
Yeah.
I like too the whole introduction to it, the waking up after X amount of years. You could flavor that in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You could do it where you're all from the same time. Maybe we were a group. Maybe we are individual heroes from different villages that all pass out at the same time. Maybe one of us is from 1,000 years ago, one of us from 500 years ago, one of us, and like each one of us knew of the previous one, and like there was a legend of, and then when we all come together, it's like, holy crap, you're the legendary character.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
like, there's so many things with that. That's so cool, dude.
Maybe you're the great grandson of the heroes, and all of a sudden your power awakens in you, and all of a sudden you're like, you're not a
one of the characters is
yeah, maybe one of the characters is from 100 years ago. He wakes up, and that awakens all the new heroes and their powers, and they're supposed to like, wait, what's happening? And now you have to like find each other and figure out how to work with each other and stuff.
Dude, so many opportunities with that. That's a really cool one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then I have one honorable mention: Assassin's Creed. You'd have to get everybody to play some type of melee, multi-class, rogue type character, but Assassin's Creed would be freaking dope. Just go around killing historical people.
Fully agree.
Hell yeah.
My honorable mention: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Like, I know it's more of a show, but like they had video games too. That'd be such a cool thing. We're all turtles, monk turtles.
Monk turtles.
I also had an honorable mention. Fortnite.
There we go. It's
just a battle royale
simulator.
But realistically, right? Like, it's Hunger Games. It's like your party is in this arena fighting
That's a
to
good
the
movie.
death.
Yeah.
That's
And like at the very end, when it's only your party left, you have to fight each other still.
Yep. That's dope.
That'd be a really cool like 3-shot, 5-shot.
Yeah.
You know, short campaign. More than a 1-shot though.
Yeah.
More than 1 shot.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Everybody goes into it knowing if we make it to the end, we're gonna be battling.
Yep. All right, everybody. This has been Curse 20. Thank you for watching.